Hi guys, Arachnodan here, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be having a look at the Tliltocatl Albopilosum that I rehoused last week. I'm going to be discussing some of the care requirements and the geography of where the tarantula is from. I hope you enjoy these clips, and if you do, please don't forget to like and subscribe. The T. albopilosum is a tarantula from South America, making it a New World species. The difference between New or Old World tarantulas are their location. New World tarantulas are from the Western Hemisphere, while Old World tarantulas are from the Eastern Hemisphere. There are some big differences between New and Old World tarantulas, but in this video we are going to be focusing on the New World tarantulas, more specifically the T. albopilosum. The T. albopilosum is widely regarded as the best beginner tarantula in the hobby to date, and I have to agree with this statement. As you can see, it is a relatively calm spider with slow, plodding movements, making it ideal for anyone interested in starting the tarantula hobby. You do have to remember that this is still a tarantula and is still basically a wild animal. It is still capable of short outbursts of speed which can startle a new hobbyist or even their most experienced hobbyist. This footage is from my previous rehousing of this tarantula, and as you can see I am not concerned about this tarantula bolting off and escaping, as you can normally predict what it is going to do. This tarantula is an opportunistic burrower, meaning it just needs to hide with a bit of substrate on the inside. What you will find is the tarantula will inhabit the hide and then move all of the substrate out, creating enough room for it to live. Many people claim that the T. albo is a great T to handle. While this may be true for most specimens out there, you do have to read your spider's body language and look for signs that it doesn't want to be handled. My specimen is not really a fan of being handled. In this clip I am reading the spider's body language, and you can see that as it touches my hand it just really doesn't want to be on there. So the sensible thing to do is not to force the spider out of its enclosure onto your hand and just let it retreat at its own pace. If you do handle your spiders, don't make any sudden movements, as this may cause the spider to bolt, and a drop or a fall can seriously harm the tarantula. Going back to how I care for my T. albo, I keep all of my spiders in the same temperature, which is in the winter time around the mid 60s, and then in the summertime up to around the 80s. In the wild, this tarantula experiences temperatures ranging from the 70s to high 80s, so I believe room temperature is fine for these specimens. When it comes to feeding my tarantula, I provide it with either a medium-sized cricket or a large mealworm, no larger than the carapace, and I always keep my eye on the prey item to make sure it does not go into hiding or it is left in the enclosure for too long, as leaving prey items in the enclosure is not ideal. These prey items will actually eat a defenseless tarantula that is either molting or sick. As I've said in a previous video, a New World tarantula can flick what is known as urticating hairs off of their abdomen. There is normally a patch on the abdomen of a tarantula which kind of shimmers, depending on the species. When the tarantula feels threatened, it will flick these hairs off up into the air to try and irritate any predators within the vicinity. I am lucky to have not been haired yet, but I've heard it is very unpleasant, and I'm sure I will experience this at some point, as the tarantula can kick these hairs into its substrate and around its hide as a defense. This tarantula has not shown any interest in a damp spot in its enclosure, but I still like to provide one. It is not a moisture dependent species, but it is always good to keep one part of the substrate moist so the spider has a choice of where to rest. I was very lucky to catch this clip. As I put my tarantula back into its enclosure, it walked straight over to its water dish and sunk its body down into the dish to have a drink. This is the first time I've caught one of my tarantulas using the water dish, and shows that you should always include one in a tarantula's enclosure. From my previous video when I explained how to set up the enclosure for one of these tarantulas, you can see how easy they are to care for. And this is why it makes them such a great beginner species for anyone looking to get into the hobby. I highly recommend these tarantulas, as they are stunning and you still get that large spider without the attitude that some of the other species brings to the table. This is a bonus clip of me trying to feed the T-Albo a cricket, and as you'll see in a minute, it completely misses. I hope you enjoyed those clips, and if you did, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all again next week. Thank you, goodbye.